death reclassified, but it takes until 2013. So 3 years after the investigation was reopened, 13 years after Cynthia's death, after further investigation and the push of Bryant, Frank is arrested near his home and charged with the murder of Cynthia. He's now 64 years old. And it's 13 years after her death. And he was with his 14-year-old son. So he still had custody of their son. Like, obviously, because he was never charged with murder.
Yeah.
His life didn't change. Frank is a retired chemical engineer. He had been telling people that Cynthia had a seizure in the tub and drowned, which was not true. The medical examiner ruled out heart attack, seizure, like drug overdose, all of it.
Yeah, that's weird. Why wouldn't you just say... See, the lying thing is weird to me. Why wouldn't you just say, like, she had, like, she drowned in the bathtub? Like,
because
she literally
he knows
drowned.
That sounds suspicious.
Well, he's the one who did it, most likely. So I'll wait to hear the end, but I have an idea.
The trial was delayed multiple times for different reasons, like a shit ton of times. But in August 2019, so recently, 70-year-old Frank was found guilty of drowning his wife, Cynthia Harisco. He was sentenced to 25 years, so he will likely die in prison.
Wow.
So I know that case was short, so I did some additional research that I want to add and talk about, and it's going to answer a lot of your questions.
Okay,
and
cool.
things you brought up.
Yes, everyone at home, put your hands down. We're answering.
Buckle up. Okay, so like Sarah said in the beginning, you don't have to be a botanist to know that drowning is one of the hardest homicides to prove.
Yeah.
But there are investigators and a group of divers who are pushing for more scrutiny in drowning cases. So for instance, I'm going to talk about another case real quickly and then talk about what's happening. So in April 2012, Chad Cutler called 911 around 1 a.m., and he was in Mount Zion, Illinois. So the beer also works for this. So Chad called 911 around 1 in the morning and to tell police that he just found his wife, Lisa, face down in the bathtub and her Bible was floating in there with her.
Oh.
He told the 911 dispatcher that he pulled her head out of the water, just her head, not her body. He pulled her head out of the water, drained the tub, then tried to give her CPR in that order.
Okay. It's hard to judge, but like that's not the order I do. But I'm not really the like
CPR first.
I know when they're not breathing, like don't pause to drain the tub.
Yeah, he said he held her head up, drained the tub, waited for the water to drain.
Oh, I understand pulling it and like beginning CPR at the same time. Maybe
pulled her head up, drained the tub, then tried to give her CPR.
Those steps are all messed up.
Yep,
sir.
Chad told police that his wife had either taken too much of her bipolar medicine on accident and drowned, or that she had taken it on purpose and killed herself.
Yeah, Chad. She all of a sudden realized she didn't need 1 pill a day. She thought maybe today she needs 6. Thanks for mansplaining that to everyone, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Like she wouldn't know how many to take.
Did I tell
that
you?
That makes me so mad.
I was driving home one day and the person in front of me, their license plate said Chad sucks. It was Chad S-U-X.
I mean, she's known a few Chads. So.
Chad.
Actually, I've known 2 Chads, and one of them stole my friend's perfume, poured it out, filled it up with pee in the boys' locker room, and gave it back to her.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Chad.
And she put it on and realized it was pee. Yeah, a Chad did that. If you're a Chad out there, redeem yourself and also send us an explanation for all the other Chads.
Chads and Karens.
Gosh.
Police questioned him, but as in most drowning cases, they didn't rope off the tub or the bathroom like they would if it was a crime scene. They simply called an ambulance, mopped up the floor with towels. So this is one of the big issues with drowning scenes is police almost never treat it like a crime scene. So when Sergeant James Herman showed up to Lisa and Chad's house, he was like, what are you doing? Just treat this like a crime scene.
Yeah,
like,
we don't know anything.
Yeah. He said like he just talked to the husband for a couple minutes and was like, treat this like a crime scene. But we all know drownings are hard to prove. Police often immediately assume accident. They don't treat it like a crime scene. Crime scene. Zine.
It's a new magazine, Crime Zine.
And medical examiners, and I never thought about this, but medical examiners, like in the first case I talked about, in Cynthia's case, obviously they know cause of death is drowning, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't prove how or why someone drowned. All they can do is rule things out. They can rule out drug overdose. They can rule out heart attack, seizure, but they can't prove
that someone forced you into the water.
Exactly.
How
That's
do you
very
prove
hard.
that?
Exactly. All they can do is rule out other things.
Yeah.
Prosecutors are forced to almost always use, or they're just stuck with circumstantial evidence in these cases.
Yeah.
Like which any case is hard when all you have is circumstantial evidence, but try proving a drowning, right? Like,
Yeah.
so proving a drowning is homicide on circumstantial evidence. According to, this is mind blowing. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Maybe. Tell us.
Oh, that would have been the perfect time to burp, but it won't.
I thought you were just like building anticipation.
No, I am. But I also thought I was going to burp. No, I really do have a mind blowing fact. According to a study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 10 people drown a day in the U.S. 10 people a day. The FBI crime report lists only 8 homicides by drowning in 2017. So you're telling me 10 people drown a day, but we only had 8 of those in one entire year were by like clearly and I'm not the only one who thinks the numbers are wrong.
Yeah. The numbers have to be wrong. That's not even enough for one day of drownings.
No.
That's like at 2 p.m.
Yeah. And I just told you 2 cases, so.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to prove.
Yeah. So like I said in the beginning, a group of investigators and divers is working together to try to change how all drownings are handled by police. They want to teach law enforcement how to determine if there's foul play, and they want drownings to always, no matter what, be treated like a crime scene, which makes sense. And I know that would be hard on families if it was an accidental drowning to walk in and have the police treat it like a crime scene. But they do that in other cases where it might be accidental. So why not when drownings?
Yeah, I was just going to say that like it's always hard in the family because no matter what, if it is suspicious, like everyone gets interviewed and that has to be cleared first before they move on to other, like that. We already do that.
And I didn't actually realize until doing this theme and researching that drownings are treated so differently. So just to close up the second case, eventually police did arrest and charge Chad with the murder of his wife.
Okay.
The prosecutor in the case said that I thought was cool. The prosecutor in the case said that she would never assume accident on a drowning ever again after presiding over Lisa's case. Looking closer, the examiner found bruises on her elbow consistent with being held down, and there were not enough meds in her system to make her pass out.
So the suicide is ruled out, and the maybe she didn't know how much she had to take is ruled out.
She didn't have enough, and there were like small bruises on her elbow, but like consistent with someone holding her down. And the crazy part, Chad had taken multiple $1 million life insurance policies on his wife just days before she drowned. And when you think about this is something police never would have known if they just assumed accident and moved on. Like, if you don't question and investigate, they didn't know. So if they had walked into Chad and Lisa's house and been like, oh, accident, and moved on, he would have just collected. Like, this case alone to me shows how drowning should be treated differently.
Yeah.
Like, at least at the minimum, you need to investigate because those life insurance policies are a huge motive.
Well, and that's like a giant kind of duh. A couple days before, like there's there's no way she made that much money where he would need that much life insurance.
Yeah. Ugh. And they never would have known. In 2015, 3 years later, Chad was convicted and sentenced to 45 years. So good ending in both cases. The husbands were charged, but this really made me like this. It's just crazy. I never knew how different drownings were treated. Oh my God, I can't talk today, which is funny because talking is my job right now. But I don't know. This whole thing was like mind blowing. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. Am I talking too fast?
You talked a lot faster than normal in that. That's probably why.
I felt very out of breath.
Well, you were talking very quickly.
I'm sorry, people.
No, you're good.
I don't know what's wrong with me today.
I get that way sometimes too. And I have to like stop myself.
I think I get too like, I have to tell you this. But yeah, no, we need to treat them differently.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And I'm curious if it's 10 a day. I'm curious what that looks like. I know that one of the leading causes of death in like toddlers is drowning.
Yeah.
Which does make sense because if you have a pool, if you live on a lake, like all those things, like I always think about how scary that would be. Like if you let them out of your sight to go to the bathroom, like
that's all it takes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if a lot of those are that too. But at the same time, parents and adults have been known to drown young children.
Yeah. But there's no way that if there's that many drownings per day, that's thousands per year, right?
Yeah. No, it is. Because there's 365 days, it's 10 a day. So it's like, yeah.
So thousands per year. You're telling me out of 3,000 deaths, we'll even lower it. In 2017, only 10 of those were homicides. I just have a hard time believing the percentage is that low.
Yeah, I do too.
That's like 0.5%. I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers, but you guys, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, you're mathematicians out there, right? You guys know that's a prereq to listen, right? You have to
be into botany
and math.
And you have to like dinosaurs.
Oh my God.
Yes, you do. If you want to be my friend, you have to like dinosaurs.
Then we're friends.
Just kidding. Well, I'll be your friend even if you don't like dinosaurs.
It's fine. I mean, you're a loser, but it's fine.
Oh, okay. Can I plug a show that I just started watching that you guys have to watch?
Yes.
It will make you cry.
Oh.
And it'll make you really angry at the same time. It's a mini series. There's only 4 episodes. I promise I'll say the name in a minute. But I have cried at least twice during every episode. I have also been so angry that I want to throw chairs out the window.
Very specific choice. Love it.
It is on Netflix. And apparently it's old news and I'm way behind because twin Christy said she watched this while she was pregnant and I yelled at her for not telling me and she said she probably did and I apologized. But it's called When They See Us and it's a show about Central Park 5. It's a really, really, really fucking phenomenal show. It's really well done. From what I've been researching and know about the case, it's pretty accurate. The only article, and this is kind of funny, the only article that I was able to find that was like, it's fake, was an article written by the woman who prosecuted the case. And of course, she bashed the series and how it made her look. She even tried to sue Netflix, but she lost, which kind of tells you a lot. But, so I read her whole article about her bashing the thing. And she was basically like, because, part of the Central Park, like part of their...
Can you give like a 10-second description of what the Central Park 5 is in case someone listening doesn't know?
Yeah. So in, what was the year? Early 80s, a white woman was raped and beaten nearly to death in Central Park. And the police that night had rounded up actually like 30 young Black teenagers for basically just hanging out in the park and wilding, as they called it. And some of the teens had beat people up, but basically just like a shit ton of Black teenagers in the park.
It's kind of similar to the Fairbanks.
Yeah.
Before.
And the police narrowed it down to 5 and were like, you guys did it. Only one of them was over the age of 16. One of them was 14. The other 3 were 15. Police questioned all of the minors without parents. They, according to the show and according to the statements from the Central Park 5 police, beat them into saying, they questioned them for hours, 15 hours.
They're
and
children.
Oh, yeah. And they just kept saying over and over they didn't do it. And then police did what they used to do all the time in the fucking 80s. I hope they don't do it now. But we're like, oh, if you just tell us that you did it, you'll get to go home. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, Kevin is saying you did it. And then they would tell that person oh, Antron is saying you did it. So then they were like, oh shit, no, Kevin did it. No, they would blame each other. But it's just this horrifying case. But so the prosecutor wrote this whole article and was like, oh, if it was really that bad and police beat them, don't you think police would have gotten in trouble? No, bitch, because it was the fucking 80s.
Also, no, bitch, it's now.
Yeah. And she goes, they just portrayed me so bad and portrayed me saying racial remarks. I would never. Yeah, I'm sorry. I bet you fucking did. I don't believe her for a second.
You know who just won a big defamation case? Casey Anthony.
What?
You know who it was against?
Who?
The guy who found the body. Yeah.
What?
She won a bunch of money. I don't know all the details yet because I just saw it a couple hours ago. But apparently she's done a lot of different trials for different defamation. She's suing people for making her look bad. And yeah, she just won against the guy who found the body because the guy said no. He had all these opinions about it, which is the opinion of the public that Casey Anthony did it. But anyways, yeah, she just won. He's a meter marker guy, and he found the body.
That's so disappointing.
Yeah, I know. Yep. So anyway.
Dude, my blood was boiling when I was texting Sarah so much. And I was like, what the fuck?
Sometimes she just texts me that. I'm like, you must be watching the hard part.
Yeah. And it's just rough. And of course I know the case. And I know it's quote unquote fiction and it's dramatized. But the Central Park 5 played a big role in helping make this. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm naive, but I believe their statements more than I do an old prosecutor lady who's like, I would have never said a racial remark. It was the 80s, honey, you all did.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't believe it.
What is it called again?
When They See Us.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, what pisses me off about all cases like this is at trial, They don't play the whole 15 hours.
No.
They don't play 14 hours of the boys saying, I didn't do it. I never saw her. I don't know what you're talking about. They only play the 5 minutes